Hey everyone, it's me, your completely trustworthy, absolutely amazing, totally helpful, unbelievably trustworthy. You aren't buying any of this, are you? How could you tell? Let's call it intuition. Thank you to our fellow patrons, Riddle 4765, Midnight Gem Lord, Sean, Alex, Ice Rose, and Demix LND. And another thank you to our $3 members, Recliner Plays, and Riddle 4765. And another very big thank you to our $10 patrons, Robbie Uchiha, Idel Kami, and Joaquin. And another very big thank you to our $25 member, Alex, Ice Rose. Before we jump into this breakdown / review of chapter 113 of 4 Nights of the Ababalaba, please remember to leave your own thoughts on the chapter in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you have not already. Also, make sure you hit that little notification bell so you do not miss out on any videos that happen to come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month to get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You can also now become a member to the channel for as low as $3 a month to get these same perks and more. Some of those perks happen to include the live reaction to this very chapter. Now, let's not waste any more time and let's hop right into last week's poll. So, ladies and gentlemen, last week I ended up asking, sorry, I couldn't keep going on that one. Last week I ended up asking y'all, 4 Nights of the Ababalaba fans, please, I need to know, after the reveal of a piece of our Great One, and them showing off power beyond even the Great One itself, who do you think is stronger? The fraction of the Great One or the reincarnation of the Sun? And was an overwhelming, like, geez, yo, like, I get it, obviously Zara and Du was popping off last chapter. Zarura, Zara, Hakuna Matata, like, I have no idea, but regardless, I get they were popping off last chapter, but like, it was 81% in the piece of the Great One's favor in comparison to the 19, I can't even speak right, the 19% of y'all who had faith in Gawain. And that is crazy. And now notably, I can't really blame y'all. like being real with you, I can't really blame y'all because like Gawain's low key been kind of lacking. Like, as of recent, Gawain hasn't pulled out anything too crazy. Like, she was wilding and styling a little bit against the Knights, but like, that's it. That's all she's had recently. And like, her last crazy feat was against Chaos Gallant. And like, I guess off-screening those demons, but I'm assuming Lance did most of the work on that one. So like, I can't really blame y'all, but darn, I was expecting a little bit more in Gawain's favor. Because like, Gawain has hacks. We don't know the hacks of this mini Percy thing. And like, to be fair, Gawain could maybe possibly absolute cancel it. So like, I feel like this fight is closer than I could give it credit for, but 81% of y'all have absolute faith in a piece of our Great One. And honestly, after its A1 D1 performance last chapter, I can't blame y'all. So thank all 466% of y'all. 466%? Yes, percentage. Nah, thank all 466 of y'all for participating in that poll. Make sure you get your input in on tomorrow's poll, dropping at 12 p.m. to make sure your input is included for next week's review. Now, let's hop into chapter 113. What's up, guys? Rapunzel here, and here we are to chapter 113 of 4 Nights of the Ababalaba, which is known as Zorura and Du. And to say the very least, ladies and gentlemen, it's looking a little bit devious, and by looking a little bit devious, I mean looking a lot of bit devious. And by looking a lot of bit devious, I mean like I'm genuinely concerned. Like I have genuine fears right now. About the current state of things, if you know what I'm talking about. Things seem a little teeny tiny bit scary. But, you know, that may be my own paranoia. It may be the fact that Naka was making it seem a little bit scary. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But let's not theorize anymore. Let's not think about whether it's not just me or it's actually Nakaba whipping something up in the kitchen. Let's hop right into it. Editing me. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. As you know, for a fun fact, I have it on me, and I keep it on me at all times. And, whew, I mean, maybe I'm just, I don't know. I've never been a fan of cloning. Like, I feel like I repeat this every single time I talk about the Percy stuff. But I've never, ever. Well, okay, to be fair, younger me that didn't read certain things or started to think too hard. Younger me was like, oh, it'd be so cool to be able to make clones of myself. But now that I got a little bit more of that extra consciousness in me, I don't know. Cloning terrifies me. And I can't imagine having a clone that's smarter, stronger, and faster than me. Like what's the point of me at that point? Even if it's like semi-non-corporeal, like Zarura Endu. I'm gonna call him Zarura Endu. I have no idea if that's the right. I'll call him Zaza. The Zaza. I'm not sure if the Zaza is like. I don't think I'd be rocking with a clone like that either, because like it's still smarter, faster, and stronger than me. So not all too sure how much I can rock with that one, if you know what I'm saying. But we aren't even there yet. Let's hop right into the chapter itself. So, we open up and we do get to see that it's looking a little bit tragic. Maybe even pneumatic. Unfortunately, this stuff is not automatic. So we are with Isolde, Kion, and Tristan. And Tristan, oh, he's so sad. He's so, I lost to a man named Schwartz. His name really was Schwartz, man. He couldn't even be Bellion. No, he had to be Schwartz. Why did he have to be Schwartz? But why did I have to lose to a man named Schwartz? And here's the thing, right? But part of me wants to feel bad because I've been in a very, very, very similar situation to Tristan, where like I lost, but it wasn't entirely my fault. Like I just was caught off guard by something, by an extenuating factor. So fun fact, your boy did in fact used to do the dash and kind of make it go fast. I was never really that fast, but still I was fast enough. And story time, back when I was a young man. A long time ago from now. But back when I was a young man in high school track, I was gunning. I really, really wanted that last spot in our team's 4x4. I just really wanted it. So I was sprinting. I was training. I was trying to level up every last one of my stats. And then, things happened. Things were going good for your boy. It seemed like it was finally that time. And then when it finally came time for us to do the race for the final 4x1 spot, guess what happened? My dum-dum, bubblegum, built like a chew toy looking self, decided to hop right there on the track, in the blocks, without checking if my spikes were tied right. So when I did the dash and tried to make it go fast against my two competitors, I say I made it a solid 40 meters down the lane. And my darn spike came right off. Went right. Like, legitimately, my right spike flew right off. And I lost. Because, like, your boy stumped. I nearly, like, darn near broke my neck. Straight up, I almost fell over from running from the... It's like, it seems like a subtle shift, right? Because spikes aren't actually that thick. Like, they're very thin for a reason. They're supposed to be light running shoes. But, like, just switching from the solid grip to my bare, like, darn near bare foot against the ground, because I was wearing super thin socks for my spikes. Yeah, that was a little bit off-putting. And of course, I was a little bit disappointed in myself because I knew I had more in the tank. I knew I was faster than the two people I was racing. And I went and got that 4x1 spot later. So that's what I'm hoping Tristan's going to do. Because right now, he's obviously quite sad. He's, because obviously he got beat by a man named Schwartz. Luckily enough, I wasn't beat by men named Schwartz. I was beat by men who shall not be named. But would that be the case? We see that Isolde, obviously seeing Big Papa Tristan, like, I don't know. I kind of don't like, well, here's the thing. Most of my friends don't do that. But, like, I have two friends in particular who, if something's wrong, they won't tell you something's wrong. They won't. They will just be super over dramatic about the most irrelevant things. They'll just go, oh, my coffee, it just wasn't right today. Oh, my shoelaces, they just untied at the worst time. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. And you have to press them. I really don't like that. It's super duper annoying. And I know they do it on purpose because the entire friend group has expressed that. None of us like that. But Isolde, she's the good caring friend that's like, okay, something's obviously wrong with the man. He's currently sulking instead of training when we have to climb on a behemoth back in like 5 days. What's going on? And we see that Kion is the traditional meat muncher. He's like, oh, nothing is wrong with Sir Tristan. Nothing could ever be wrong with Father Tristan. What do you mean, Isolde? He's acting perfectly normal. Obviously, he isn't, bruh. But, of course, Kaya, you know, he's, a Tristan taster, a Tristan tickler, a Tristan... I can't think of any more words that start with T. But regardless, he's obviously going to ride Tristan to the end. And thusly, he's going to keep the fact that Tristan got beat by a man named Schwartz between him and himself. So, that's it. I mean, I just feel bad. I feel bad. Every single Tristan fan out there. How does it feel? How does it feel? Like, I'm not going to lie. Low-key, like, I put Tristan at 3, I'm pretty sure. I think Tristan's now my least favorite knight. And I know that's weird. It's so crazy to say, but I don't know. Bro hasn't done anything like... He hasn't done anything worthy of my favoritism in, like, years. Not years, but, like, darn near it. Like, the last time I was really, really super duper hyped and, like, yeah! With Tristan's character is when he went Demon Mark against Meligalund. That's pretty solidly over a year ago now. Because what? That was, like... It was pre-70s, I'm pretty sure. It was pre-70s, the Meligalund fight. And because I know Arthur appeared in the 70s, and Meligalund is pre that. And now we're on chapter 113. And I think there at least have been 10 breaks. So, like, it's either been nearly a year, or it's a little over a year since Tristan has really, like, grabbed me by the throat and had my real solid attention. So, I don't know. Like, I get it. It's all for the character development. Don't get me wrong. I see the line that Nakaba is going down with Tristan. Trust me, I do. But, like, this ain't hyping me up, bro. But we do get to see things that do hype me up as Kion's little magical men leap on out of their little itty-bitty tiny bag and reveals a pretty sad fact. Like, I guess these things are somewhat sentient. I guess I should have known that because they are spirits. But, like, how did, like, Kion, do you wash that bag, bro? Like, I know none of them. Well, no. She has a nose. He has a big old nose. It probably stinks in that bag, Kion. When was the last time you washed it? That would suck. That would suck. It's even like, I remember, because Pokemon Black and White kind of like, opened my brain. But, like, man, it's gotta suck being stuck in a Pokeball all day, right? Like, it's gotta be awful. And now, like, this isn't even Pokeball size. Like, at least when, with, like, Pokeballs, you're, like, transferred into, like, a data world. I'm not sure if you're even fully conscious inside a Pokeball. I'm not willing to find out. But, like, these things, I don't know. They're able to move mostly autonomously, so they kind of just stick in a bag all day. Gotta be awful. However, we do get to see the spirits they're out, and they are not smiling or having a good old time being like, hey, Kion, you haven't used this in a minute. You good, bro? No, they're, a little bit concerned. You see the tornado guy's hugging. He's hugging the rock guy. The fire guy's also hiding behind the rock guy. You know, the rock guy, I guess he's just the strongest because, like, they're all kind of cuddled up on him. And we see that Kion's like, hold on. When did you guys unionize? Because you don't have rights. So you can't leap out unless I tell you. And I get it. I get it. It's his magic. And I'm assuming, this is going to sound bad. I'm assuming they're, like, lower functioning life forms. That sounds so wrong. But, like, I don't think they have families. I hope they don't have families in life. Like, does Kion pay them? Like, what is their means of living? That's the thing. When you make things sentient or sentient enough to have, like, free will, it makes me worried. And I start to think too much. But we see that while Kion is worried about them unionizing, Isolde is like, wait, correct me if I'm wrong, because obviously I apparently can't read facial expressions, because I think something's wrong with Tristan, but Kion, #1 meat muncher, think nothing is wrong with Tristan. But do they look afraid? And yes, they do look a bit afraid. And we see that Kion's like, oh, maybe this isn't unionization. Wait a second. I know where I've seen this before. It was actually, wait a minute. They acted much the same way when they first encountered Percival. And that is semi-true. Semi-true. Notably, because remember, the spirits were working just fine against regular Percy. Like, remember, this one guy right here strangled him no problem. Like, was legit taking his hair away without fear. But now that a certain Percy's popped out, Zarura, I keep saying Zara. I don't know why I say Zara, but Zaruru, English. What is it? Zarura Indu. Not Zarura. Oh, yeah. Zarura. I'm going to keep messing that up. I hope you know. This is going to be the new Percival and Tristan thing. Every single time this thing gets mentioned, I'm going to keep calling it anything but Zarura. But with that being the case, it looks like they're reacting this way specifically because Zarura popped out. Because the Zaza spawned, now they're off one. And I know that happens to most people when the Zaza spawns. But even still, that is a little bit concerning. And once again, we got to remember, this isn't the first time living or pseudo or like, I feel weird, lesser life forms, those filthy monkey. No, this isn't like the first time we've seen non-human beings react strangely to Percy's magic. Remember, as recent as the last arc, when Teniac was spawning all those insects and they were trying to run up on Percy, they all were like, whoa. Whoa, whoa, yeah. I don't care if you got some magical sauce spinning in my brain. I am not going today. And when Anteniac was, I keep saying Anteniac, that character is literally perished. But with that being the case, Teniac, when she's wondering why her magic isn't working and she gets speed blitzed by Nasians, the mini Percy comes up to her and is like, you know why? Do you know? Wait, no, because that's mini Percy.
Do you know why they're ignoring your magical orders? Do you know why they're fighting back against your control? Because they are wiser than us. They are wiser than you. They know if they come to me, they will die.
So we know things have reactions to Percy, but that makes it so interesting. I wonder why it's only things like insects, things like these spirit creatures, quote unquote, once again, lesser life forms that are reacting in this way to Percy. Because realistically, everything that's alive should have an aversion to death. Mostly. I'd say there are some things that maybe don't. I know there are some fearless individuals out there who will do extremely stupid things regardless of how many times you warn them, because they... I mean, what was what is it? The Last Wish? Puss in Boots, The Last Wish. What was that movie all about? The fact that Puss in Boots was not afraid of, the big D. Can I say it like that? Can I say it? Look, we're having fun in this review. Yeah, sure. Puss in Boots was not afraid of the big D. So, obviously there are things that are not. But it seems like things that mostly run on instinct are the ones that are reacting to Zarura, the Zaza, the most. That seems to be the main thing. Which makes me wonder if the Zaza will ever evolve to a point where even fully sentient creatures are like, no. No. You stay away from me. I wonder if we're ever going to get to that point. Because notably with Zaza being this big already, where do we go from here? And now, notably, this is not an individual mini Percy. This is a mini Percy conglomerate. So maybe we're still a long ways off from, Giga Percy. But if this conglomerate formed from this Percy is already this fully formed, this intelligent, this wise, and this powerful, what happens when Percy gets stronger? Especially considering, according to it, in this very chapter, it's not using its full force already. And Percy hasn't even begun to tap into the depths of the real power he has stored within. So what's really gonna happen with this thing? I don't know. It's a little bit spooky if you ask me. That's how I feel about it. But with that being the case, we do get to see that Percy's like, the Zaza? A piece of our great one? What you talking about? And of course, I would also be concerned. I can't imagine putting myself in Percy's shoes. Notably, especially with Percy's experience, bro has barely lived life. He's been off God's finger for 3 weeks. At most. I think. Maybe it's been a month. But even still, bro went from having no magic to having his magic be stronger than him. How does that feel? And now it's telling you that it is simply a piece of the Great One. And you're the Great One? Or here's the thing. It says a piece of our Great One. So is it talking in the collective unconscious way? On some Persona type beat? Where all the mini Percys are their own individuals? Or that even this guy has a family and stuff like that? And it's talking in that way? Our Great One, as it's referring to all the different pieces of Percy that make it up? And it's referring to Percy as the Great One? Or, even worse, Percy's not actually the Great One. he's simply a piece, just like Zaza here. And thusly, a manifestation of the Great One could be something like a higher dimensional creature. Like, I don't know. Could be a little bit tragic. But with that being the case, we do get to see that Zaza's like, yeah. Think about it. Come on now, bro. Think about it. Ring any bells? You got anything? I'm not sure. What kind of voice do I give Zaza? Because it is just Percy. And I usually just give Percy like a slightly higher pitched version of my voice. Ring any bells? Then how about this? Was Zigra. And while that doesn't, not just Was Zigra, also awake. Those are two things that it says to Percy. But here's the thing. No one remembers that. But we do. And Tristan probably should too. Because remember, those are the same words that I believe, I'm assuming Zaza was in control at that point. Those are the same words that Zaza said after Tristan sliced its chest open. So what does that mean? What does awake mean in this context too? Because notably, awake is not, there's no like special weird language above awake. So I don't know. Things seem strange. Things seem very, very strange with this little individual. And we see that Zaza looks on expectantly like, well, huh? You remember it? Huh? Can I take over your body yet? Come on. Just give me control. You know you want it. You know you want to give up everything. Let me control you. Let me have it. Give me the body. And ironically enough, this is I forget where, there's a similar idea to this. Well, I guess it's kind of like Itadori and Sukuna. But like, it's kind of like Naruto and Kurama, where I'm assuming there's some condition that can be met to where Percy wouldn't be the one in control, and it would be Zaza. If I had to take a guess, I'm assuming there's a condition that can be met for that, but we aren't approaching it yet. Or maybe it is, I don't know. Zaza's strange in terms of what it does and what it means, because we see that Percy's like, those are some funny words. They aren't demon language though. And I don't speak demon. Well, no, I don't speak that language in particular. I speak demon, I speak English, who knows? I may even speak goddess, if goddesses have their own unique language. But I do not speak that. And we see that Zaza's like, no dice. Guess it's been too long then. Too long since what? Too long since what? Too long since what, Zaza? Too long since what? I'm concerned. I'm actively concerned. Because here's the thing, right? Percy has been explicitly said by Nakaba on numerous occasions to be human. To be human. I'm buying it less and less and less. But hypothetically, we've seen what could be a scenario similar to Percy somewhere else. Remember what Elizabeth is. Elizabeth is biologically a human to the point where she's going to perish maybe at age 90 if she's super duper lucky. In medieval times, she's lucky that she's gonna make it. In medieval times, she's lucky she's alive right now as a human. But that being the case, we may have seen a scenario similar to Percy before, where even though Percy's biologically human, his soul or whatever exists inside him may not be. We'll cover that more in a little bit, specifically on what Zaza says later. But with that being the case, as Zaza looks disappointed in the idea that it's been too long about something, Percy asks, okay, sorry about this, but you're not making any sense to me at all here. What's going on? And we see Lance make what I will admit is an executively like a little inept of a decision. Dude, just 2 chapters ago, you noticed what we had all noticed, that something's a little bit off about the mini Percys. Something's a little bit strange about how they're operating in the way that they do, like fully independent, autonomous creature. Like, you notice that. So now that you don't just have a mini Percy, you have a full-size Percy that is stronger than the Percy that you know, that is fully capable of speaking fully coherent sentences. I don't think this is the time to continue training. I think this is the time to put training on pause and then interrogate the life out of Zaza, or at least read its heart. Now, notably, I do think maybe that's what Lance is doing here. Maybe Lance is attempting to read Zaza's heart, because we know that Lance can read the thoughts and hearts of even the mini Percys, which biologically shouldn't have hearts, but I guess it's like a soul reading thing. So maybe he's reading Zaza's mind and getting all the information he can, and he doesn't want them to realize that, so he's focusing on the training part. But I don't know, that doesn't feel hinted. Or at least it doesn't feel hinted that well. That's me, like, glazing Lance and assuming that he's that giga brain. But we know Lance has made just stupid decisions before. I still think him leaving Guinevere was dumb. All this time later. Thank the Lord we haven't seen Guinevere in, like, it's been like half a year, hasn't it? So it was pre-last arc. So it's been a hot second. But with that being the case, Lance is all about the business. And the business right now is training. So he says, you beat level 2. Okay. Now, let's do level 3. And we see that Zaza's like, I bet. Sit back, great one. You know what time it is. He straight up starts, like, I wish I do not have enough room to start spitting this, but he really starts spitting the blade, and I love that. Where he's walking up like, all right, let's do it, round 2, baby. And we see that Percy's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Wait a minute. This might take a minute. What are you doing? And we see that there is no wait a minute, because Lance stomps forward. He takes the left hand, he puts a little some sort of spin on it, and boom, knocks Zaza back. And now, you're a dedicated 4 Knights fan, such as myself. You may recognize the shape of that weapon. It may be quite familiar to you. It may be stirring something within your cerebral cortex. Is that where memories are? I think the hippocampus is where memories are. Where is the hippocampus? I have not studied the brain since, like, college biology. It's been so long. But with that being the case, we do get to see that Zaza is knocked back. And Lance is, he's emulating someone else. And as Zaza compliments the power behind that thrust, you see, so many common words are ruined. So many common words are ruined by the modern day. And while half the time it's funny, the other times I do it unintentionally, and that's when I just get disappointed. I just get sad. I can't say words. But with that being the case, we do get to see that, sorry, I need to drink up. I'm drinking water, by the way. Stay hydrated. But we get to see that Lance begins to emulate a certain someone. So let me drink up. It's been a while, because they haven't been in the narrative for like a year now, if not more than a year, because they're even pre the Chaos Commandment stuff. That's the last time we saw this character. But let me take a sip. That was 2 sips, but still. Entertain me a little, why don't ya? And we see that Percy recognizes that level 3 is none other than the man, the myth, the Chad himself, the Black Knight, Pelgard. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. We love Pelgard. We stand Pelgard in this house. Sure, he hasn't been in the narrative for like a year. It has to be more than a year for Pelgard, because he predates Meligaland. He predates the Chaos Commandments. Like, it's been more than a year since we've last seen Pelgard as an actual character. But hey, I'm happy to see him even represented here at all, because it's rough. It's rough. Pelgard scraps are still Pelgard scraps. It still has some aspect of Pelgard to it. So I'm super happy to see him here. And also, this is the most expressive we get to see Lance when he's emulating Pelgard, which I think is a nice little touch, because he is copying them down to every last level except for their magic. So that is nice to see. And we do get to see that Zaza is like, that guy, huh? I don't mind him at all. He's the one who awoke Percival in the first place for me. What? Okay. So I think now I can mention it, because the rest of the chapter is kind of just fighting. So what is Percy? I mentioned the scenario earlier where I believe he may be something akin to a Elizabeth scenario, where he's reincarnated in a human vessel, or he is a human, but he just happens to contain the power of something that's non-human. I've been seeing a couple theories, and I am rocking with I do like the idea that hypothetically Percy is an offshoot of Chaos, or another one of the Chaos clan. That's a video I've been meaning to make for forever now, but got a lot of videos. I'm sorry, I don't know. Especially, your boy be thinking a lot. I don't think too well, but I do be thinking a lot. But with that being the case, it being another member of the Chaos clan makes sense. It does like fit into a lot of different things. Like it fits into the idea that the mini Percys are able to create themselves, their formlessness, their flexibility, their extreme knowledge, all of that, the ability to control life and death. As we know, even having a fraction of chaos allows you to transcend life and death, according to Merlin, which is even better than Bond's immortality. So the ability to pretty much ignore death, like Percy's been shown to be able to do with the assistance of the mini Percys. So it being a chaos fragment makes sense to me. Like, I wouldn't even realistically be too mad if it was either like an offshoot of Chaos, another member of the Chaos clan. Yeah, whatever. I think that's fine. But another idea I've been thinking of for a hot minute, I've never mentioned it, but I do think there is a certain deity that didn't get a lot of screen time in the original series, and also didn't perish through any permanent means. So for a while, before I started thinking about this new one, I thought maybe Percy could be the indirect reincarnation of the Demon King. But then I remembered the Demon King got destroyed completely, like soul wiped entirely. Like Melius erased him from existence. So unfortunately, I don't think the Demon King is ever going to make any sort of return in any way, shape, or form. That's just going to be how it be. But there is another deity that was slain before Percy's birth, and also seems to have powers that would pretty likely correlate to what Zaza is and what the mini Percys have appeared to be and their general knowledge base. So what deity controls light, is very good at healing, has the ability to create sentient life, and also perished 16 years ago in a way that would allow it to reincarnate due to the nature of what slayed it? I know this may sound crazy. I know this may sound a little bit silly, a little bit stupid, especially considering we already do have a remnant of this being's power floating around in the fourth night of the apocalypse. But what if Percy holds the reincarnated soul of the supreme deity? It would explain the ability to heal so well. It would explain the knowledge and the desire to seek out the coffin of eternal darkness. It wouldn't explain the demon language, though. I guess Percy's just smart. The awakening thing, that also could explain it. Because once again, it feels like Percy, the thing about Zaza and the mini Percys, it feels like they predate Percy. Especially considering what the Zaza says about, oh, so you don't remember. That's not enough to awaken. It's been too long. Now, notably, long in a 16-year-old's life could be like 5 years ago. Like, long in my life is 5 years ago. I can't tell you what I was doing at this moment in time 5 years ago. I do not have photographic memory. But too long ago could be a previous life. So I don't know. I know that, like, saying this is Supreme Deity is really just like a desperate bid for me to have the more Supreme Deity content outside of Cursed by Light. Because, like, as much as I like Cursed by Light, I don't really like Cursed by Light. I'm sorry, I don't like the animation style, so I would love to see more Supreme Deity content in the manga. But big booty butt cheeks, regardless, this isn't Percy. Like, I don't think Zaza or any of the mini Percys are a genuine reflection of who Percy is. I do think they are the sealed or remains or reincarnation or something of another being. Because they have too much knowledge, they have too much raw power, their abilities are too diverse, and the idea that they needed to be awakened, or Percy had to be awoken in order to allow them to exist. And another reason I think it's Supreme Deity is just because of the whole faith thing. Like, the more people have hope in Percy, the stronger the mini Percys get, to the point where Zaza was formed after the whole demon world faith was forced into him. So, I don't know. But with that being the case, we do get to see Zaza and Lance. Woo! Sorry. I feel like a bit of my soul just left me. That's what happens when you talk smack about Zaza, I guess. But we do get to see that Zaza and Lance go to work. And specifically, they are pretty relative. And remember, Pelgard is explicitly one of the skill checks in the verse. Like notably, if you ask a lot of people about Seven Deadly Sins, people just say, oh, it's big punchy, big hits, slice mountains apart. But like, there have been moments where technical skill has been brought up explicitly. And Pelgard is one of those elements in Four Knights, where he admits Gawain is quite powerful and has a whole lot of potential, but she just doesn't know how to fight. And thusly, she's going to be less effective. So since Lance is specifically emulating Pelgard in his fighting skill, it's very impressive that Zaza is able to directly keep up with it, word for word, bar for bar, swinging even with him. And we see that Don even points out, like, wow, look at that. He's even fighting evenly with Lancegard? Is that a ship name or is that a fusion name? I don't know. No, it seems to help. But with that being the case, ooh. I'm sorry. My body is doing strange body things. But with that being the case, we do get to see that Lance swings down and actually does do damage to Zaza, or at least seems to knock Zaza away, which is interesting. So it looks like the head of Zaza is what needs to be. If you can hit the head of Zaza, it's what'll keep it corporeal. It can't easily phase the head away. Though we do get to see that in later scenarios, it can maybe phase the head away. Because no, Lanceguard swings down. And then Zaza appears behind Lanceguard, forming from the mini Percys. And then we see that Lance breaks character a little bit, where he says, won't work twice on me. And that's obviously Lance speaking, because Pelgard's never fought something like this. But we see as Lance goes to swing, it seemingly does hit near the head area, and then Zaza reappears behind him and declares, missed again! I can't wait to possess your friend Lancelot. But that does make this whole interaction where maybe Zaza's just dodging, but it looks like Zaza's actually like getting hit here. So, I don't know, there's contact marks. But with it being the case, we do get to see that Pelgard's level is in fact beat. Zaza swings with the sword and knocks Lancelot away. Lancelot goes rolling, and we see that Donners is like, got you with him, fellas. He got him. And even now seems like, whoa, he done did it again. And we do get to see that this is Nakaba casually sliding in a little power scaling. I'm telling y'all, authors do power scale. They don't power scale to the same insane degree as their fandoms do, but mangaka, they do power scale. Story writers power scale. Because what does Nakaba go out of his way to say through Zaza? He goes on to say, but it's still Pelgard's base. No, sorry, pencil can't read. That's why he doesn't trust me. But we do see him say, but it's still just Pelgard based off the memories of Percival, isn't it? He never truly went all out against Percival. Maybe half his actual strength at best. So this is essentially Nakaba future-proofing Pelgard. He doesn't want, especially considering what he does at the end of this chapter with Percy, he essentially doesn't want to fully power creep Percy out of the narrative. Or no, he doesn't want to fully, like, push Pelgard into irrelevance, like characters like Macduff have been pushed into, or characters like Talisker and Fittich have been pushed into. So he's essentially saying, if Pelgard is stronger than this in the future, it's not a retcon, it's just that we've never seen him go all out, which is true. I think this could be inferred even if Zaza didn't say this, but it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt at all, reinforcing that, oh, we've never actually seen Pelgard go full crazy. So this also means that the next person we see fight doesn't definitively scale above Pelgard. They may just scale above the half power of Pelgard, or half at best Pelgard that we saw fight so far. So Pelgard's future-proof. Happily enough, glad to see that. Don't want Pelgard to be power crept out of the narrative too badly or too quickly. So hopefully he gets more screen time later and is still relevant power-wise. But with that being the case, we do get to see that Zaza also admits, well, I'll be real with you, I'm not using my full force either. So Zaza is still holding back. That's worrying. How strong is Zaza, like realistically relative to the other knights? Because could Zaza beat Demon Tristan? I don't think Zaza can beat Lance. I think Lance is still way beyond the pay grade of Zaza. But is Tristan now on the table? Is Gawain on the table? I think Gawain is on the table now, because nothing directly implies that Gawain has gotten exponentially stronger or exponentially more skilled after the previous battle with Pelgard. And presumably enough, Lance was basing this current level 3 Pelgard based off the one that Percy saw most recently, which would be that Pelgard from the fight against Gawain. He even has the same thrust move that I don't think Percy used or saw when Percy first fought Pelgard all that time ago. So I think that does low Kizzle kind of put, it's weird to say, but I think it kind of does put Zaza above Gawain, which is wild. And now I think this is going to make the Knights of Camelot's job a lot more difficult based on what happens at the end of this chapter. But we do get to see that Lancelot rises up and he's like, well, ooh, my neck, my back. I'm not saying the rest. But with that being the case, we do get to see he's like, and that's level 3. Not too shabby. He's still not asking any questions, so I'm going to hope that he's reading minds. But with it being the case, Lance says, all right, it's time for level 4. And we see that Zaza locks in. Like, Zaza was like this, chilling out, you know. And then Lance said, all right, we're turning up the game level a little bit. And then Zaza was like, oh, shoot, let me lean forward in the chair. And we do get to see that Zaza's like, okay, fine by me. But before that, this is still Percival's training, isn't it? I don't want to butt in any further. Pushing you around does wonders for my stress, too. So, pushing you around's done wonders for my stress, too. So, Zaza stresses. And it doesn't like Lance. Or presumably, well, to be fair, I wouldn't like anything that's definitively stronger than me either. But, then again, I do, like, I have friends who are definitively stronger than me. I like them. But, regardless, interesting. Zaza is fully sentient enough to have stress. I'm not even sure if Percy's stressed. He's depressed, but I don't think he's stressed. So that's interesting. Zaza has stresses and worries. How sentient are you, Zaza? What version? How much of you is collective consciousness? How much of you is collective consciousness, and how much of you is like genuine individual that you have your own stresses? I have no idea. But with that being the case, we see that Zaza even admits, besides, with this guy, it won't mean anything unless Percival himself is your opponent. And we see that Percy's like, what do you mean it won't mean any... Oh, sweet mother of mercy, I know this feeling. The Red Knight Ironside. So, Lance is pulling out the trauma. Of course, he's pulling out the trauma. But once again, like I said before, this does not mean Ironside definitively scales above Pelgard. They could both be relative still. It's just that Ironside likely showed a higher level of power in their bout, which is interesting because the Pelgard rematch against Gawain takes place a lot later in the narrative than the Ironside rematch. Because remember, we haven't seen Ironside actively engage with our cast in a direct battle since Anne's introduction arc, which is over like 2 years ago at this point. So... it's interesting. Very, very interesting that Ironside's the 4th level here. And that Ironside that early could probably mollywop Macduff, mollywop. Like, at that level of power that he was showing, he's this powerful. But, with that being the case, we do get to see that the Donners is like, whoa, I remember 2 years ago when we fought Ironside together, and we couldn't even barely do that. And fully admits that the 4 of them were helpless against that man. But Percy's like, hey, don't fear. Be revered. For this is a shonen manga, and thusly I got way stronger. And we do get to see that, unfortunately, Percy still isn't all too sure, even with his power growth. He's like, I'm sure I can hold my own now, or at least do all right, or maybe not get throttled anyway. And we see that Zaza, likely through an understanding or the direct link to Percy, is like, okay, still not ready yet. And he proceeds to say, let me help out once more in the end. And we see that Lance, I'm not sure if he's emulating Ironside here or if he's genuinely speaking from the heart. Hard to tell with Lance. But he says, no discipline at all, I see. Taking it back that fast? Well, fine. Make it a 2-on-1 if you like. Interesting that Lance is down with that, considering this is for Percy's training. But we do get to see that Zaza's like, oh, no. Not like that. It'll be Percival doing all the fighting. And we see that Zaza shatters into 1,000,000,000 pieces and then remerges back into Percy. And you see Percy begins to start powering up. Wow, my magic force. It's seeping into my body, down to my hands, my feet, my fingertips, every nail, every individual hair. It's like senses exist in each strand. And we see that Zaza is still able to compete, or not compete, but communicate with Percy directly despite being fused into him. He says, your entire nervous system's been sharpened, to be exact. Here he comes. And we see that Lance lunges in, but Percy's actually able to dodge. And then he dodges again. And then he lunges in for a swing. But unfortunately, before he can get the swing off, Lance begins Once again, I do not have enough room to swing around the actual sword one day. But with that being the case, we do get to see that everyone's worried that Percy won't be able to dodge that, but he does. He's super duper far away. And we see that Lance notices something's up, Anne notices something's up, and Donnie notices that something's up. And Percy's like, huh? And Percival asks, did you do that just now? Which does imply that Zaza does have some sort of physical control over Percy, which 100% makes me believe that Zaza is the spare Percy. But we do get to see that, according to Zaza at least, Zaza would never lie or withhold information. According to Zaza, it was all Percy's power. He didn't do a thing. It didn't do a thing. I didn't do a thing. And we see that Zaza's main goal right now is to help Percy temper that power. Because he admits that Percy should realize, by now, I think you can tell how little power you've been tapping into. Alright, you need to perfectly master which parts of your body make what kinds of moves, at which timing and force. And then Percy asks the natural question, but why are you doing all this for me? One, it's your magic, so it should be doing that for you. But obviously, Percy's a little confused. And as Lance goes swinging, or Iron Lance goes swinging, we see that Percival is told, it's simple. You have a duty to punish Ironside. And that is where the chapter ends. So, couple things. Zaza is deeply invested within Percy's well-being and growth. Likely because Percy is its current vessel, but I don't think Zaza is fully on Team Percy. Mainly because of my lack of trust of clones. And another thing that is a little intriguing, and if not slightly concerning, it's the idea that Zaza needed to be summoned forth by Percy's awakening, and that Percy is quote-unquote missing memories. Now, notably, the last time we had a little miniature plotline like this, it was Percy being able to speak demon language, and then us being told that, oh, the reason Percy can speak demon language is because he wandered into the demon world at a young age and was taught the language. Okay. But he forgot about that. So, what other things had Percy forgotten? Has his magic awoken before? What's going on here? Devious things are occurring, my friends. Devious things are occurring. But overall, super duper W chapter. This chapter is a whole lot of action, but it still has a lot of subtext. A lot of subtext that's building towards big things. I do think Zaza's whole sentience and personality is going to lead to something important. I do think all the way back at the beginning of the chapter, the mention that even Kion's spirits are afraid of Mini Percy, that's leading to something. Obviously, this chapter does have a little bit of character work with Tristan and going over his sadness over the fact that he lost to a man named Schwartz. I'd be crying too. And obviously, just Zaza existing is worrying to me, but intriguing. And obviously, I love seeing Pelgar and Ironside reference. Haven't seen them in a hot minute. Good to see him. But overall, really, really W chapter. I'm excited. I have thoughts about things I want to theorize and talk about in other videos, so we'll get to those in other videos. But thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure the notification bell so you do not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below, each for as well as $1 a month. You things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You can also now become a member of the channel for as well as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks include the live reaction to this very chapter. Now, thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Dago the Pencil, writing off.